Ahoy, fellow efficiency fanatics.
And welcome aboard the Joy of Trek, a superior podcast exploring the derelict starships and rigged war games of Star Trek, all of it. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And out in the cobweb-filled Hathaway is your chief engineer, Greg.
Together, we're on a mission through the dusty holodecks of Star Trek to find the tactical genius in every obsolete console and the excellence in every episode.
Even the Ferengi foreplay.
Because every episode must be someone's favorite, and it might as well be ours.
So polish your joystick and join us as we finger blast into
the joy of Trek. Oof.
What?
No, I think we've lost every pretense of being PG.
Really?
You ever had that?
I don't know what you're talking about. Hello, everyone. Have you guessed what we're going to be talking about today?
Yes, we will be talking about Star Trek.
Amazing.
Yes, you never guessed that one. Yes.
Amazing. It's been it's like we randomize it every week, and yes, it's just been a streak of Star Trek.
Yeah, weird is that? It's like, it must be just our lucky day. I guess we got lucky with naming the podcast The Joy of Trek.
So, which Star Trek are we watching today, Kay?
We are watching The Next Generation, episode 221, Peak Performance.
Yes, known as the one with the weird sort of little finger fleshlights and the tubules sort of stuck on that and all that sort of game. First aired on July 10th, 1989, written by David Kemper.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, whom we know as the showrunner for Farscape.
Yeah.
With an uncredited rewrite by Richard Manning, whom we also know from Farscape.
Okay.
Directed by Robert Shearer and starring some people that we recognize.
Yes.
Did you recognize anyone in this episode?
Well, it's Armin Shimmerman.
Very good.
And I wasn't sure if the guy standing next to him was the same actor who plays, what was it called, Executor Burke? Or
No, that is a different actor.
Okay, there was a similarity.
Yeah. Certainly in his sort of mannerisms and affect.
Right, yes.
That was David L. Lander. We also had Roy Brocksmith in his first appearance on Star Trek as Serna Kolrami, the Zach Dorn.
What else do we know him from?
Chief, can you fill us in on the specifics?
Yes, so this is veteran character actor Roy Brocksmith, who sadly passed away in 2001. He had a long and storied career in Total Recall, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, The War of the Roses, Tango and Cash. He was in an episode of DS9. He had roles in Seinfeld, Ally McBeal, Babylon 5, Murder 1, as well as being in Scrooged, which is one of my favorite interpretations of A Christmas Carol. Really just a fantastic actor that was just been in so many roles. Really, really great character actor.
Thank you. And we've also got Glenn Morshower as Ensign Burke.
Is that Lieutenant Buzzcut?
That's the one.
Right.
He's played a streak of Secret Service officers in, 24, West Wing. Right. He was also Orton in Starship Mine.
Oh.
Yeah, he was the diehard on the Enterprise.
Oh.
Right? He was the non-human station commander who turned out to be in cahoots with the terrorists.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a really fun one. And what happened in this episode, Kay?
Oh, geez, what happens in this war? Impromptu intermingling of a Ferengi in a Starfleet exercise turns things on their head. Oh, I don't know. It's hard to make fun of this one.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you not want to focus on the finger blasting one with all the little flashlights on your finger?
I thought there was going to be plenty of that. Yes. Well, let's see. Data's finger blasting gets his partner to rage quit?
Wow. Wow. Okay, Kay. See, sometimes I wonder, is he going to come up with something? Because I probably would struggle a lot more. And then you come out with these little gems. Thank you so much. Chief, would you care to tell the audience what in fact happened in Peak Performance?
With the Borg threats in mind, Starfleet stages a wargame simulation, pitting Captain Picard and the Enterprise against Commander Riker and the 80-year-old starship Hathaway. However, when the Ferengi suddenly attack, the Enterprise is crippled, forcing Picard into a seemingly no-win scenario.
This was the tail end of the original sort of uniforms in Star Trek: The Next Generation. You know, the sort of sailor boy outfits that they've got.
They started rotating the uniforms after this season?
Well, by season 3, all the uniforms were redesigned, at least for the male roles, into a two-piece that was less stressful on the spine.
Right, didn't require the Picard maneuver.
Well, that one did require the Picard maneuver. Yeah,
right.
That's where it started. They're currently still wearing spandex.
Which I'm still saying should be called Picarding, not Picard maneuver, because...
As in a stepping, or...?
Well, just Picarding. There's the act
I
of
agree.
Standing up and pulling your shirt straight should be called Picarding.
I agree. But also, just because I'm a huge fan of turning regular things into verbs... Yeah. So, like, these were one-piece spandex with the shiny side inward.
Right.
But because it was, I think it was like a two-way stretch instead of a four-way stretch, it was really uncomfortable on the spine, and like everybody had spinal problems.
Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, women had to continue wearing them throughout season 3, but everybody else got the jackets. Picard's got a wash set a little too high a temperature and shrank by episode 2, requiring the tug, now known as the Picard maneuver. But here, we have that wonderful combination of, we do have Riker's beard.
Oh, yes, we do.
But we have those spacey uniforms.
And we have Pulaski.
Yes, which I was very excited about. This is toward the end of her arc with Data, where she's
coming around,
hugely on Team Data.
Yes.
So what did people think of this episode?
Oh, let's see. In June 2019, Screen Rant rated Peak Performance as the 8th best episode of all Star Trek up to that time.
Whoa! Oh, up to that. Whoa. Okay. Wait.
It's 2019, so still covering all.
Up to 2019.
Yeah, still covering all of Voyager, all of Enterprise, and a good chunk of Discovery. I think. When did it start? Discovery 17.
2017. Yeah.
Zach Hanlon of the AV Club gave the episode a B+, calling it a solid entry that allows nearly every major character a moment to shine.
Absolutely, yeah.
George Emerson on Reddit said, "What a fun episode! It's not particularly deep or laden with meaning, but it sure is a blast to watch. God, Kolrami is a smug little asshole. Who the hell is he to order Picard around on his own bridge? Like that little hiss he made when Picard shot him down. I'm glad Data finally managed to get him to rage quit." So,
there you go.
It's, a well-loved episode, I would say.
Awesome. Now let's find out who recommended it, because Peak Performance was recommended by, Kayodé Lycaon. Oh. Awesome. Familiar to me, a writer of some note within our communities.
Star Trek is full of lessons to learn, and Peak Performance is one of the best. The best line comes from Captain Picard. It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness, that is life. Hearing this changed my life. As some of you know, I've spent my entire life struggling with being bipolar. Parts of my brain just do not work. I was one of the brilliant kids in school, but my grades never showed that. I couldn't focus on homework, no matter how hard I tried. Later in my life, I had manic episodes that took control over me, and I couldn't stop myself from saying things I shouldn't have. I've lost jobs and friends to episodes, and blame myself for all of it. Captain Picard made me realize I was trying my best, and it was not my fault my best wasn't enough to meet someone else's expectations. I was released from a lifetime of guilt. That alone would recommend this episode, but there is more. There are 3 things that stand out to me. Troy and Pulaski try to fix Data's logic problem with advice on emotion. This fails because Data does not have emotions. I cannot tell you how many people have given me advice that is absolutely useless. Knowledge was never my problem, it was always application. You have to understand the problem before you can have the solution. The second is I really identify with Riker. He's given a broken ship and isn't expected to win. He treats this like a challenge and does things his way. I've embraced life that way. I'm always trying to find my way around my own limitations. I don't need to do things the way people say I should. I can do what works instead, even if it means breaking a few rules. And finally, if you can't win fairly, you can cheat or make your opponent mad enough to quit instead.
That's amazing.
Yeah, good going.
That's amazing. Especially because, like, Data's struggle in this episode is not one that we mentioned, or made fun of, but it's actually a really serious component of this episode. What does excellence mean for different people? Right? Picard defends Riker's excellence to Kolrami.
Right.
And Data, who's always held himself to the highest standards,
questions his own abilities. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is fascinating. Yeah. I sometimes regret saving the recommendations for when we actually start recording, because then I can't watch that episode again through that perspective.
Right, yes. Huh. Ooh, I mean, that's
we can do so now.
Well, I'm thinking about it, if whether or not we should maybe read the recommendation beforehand. And
but I so like to be surprised by them.
Very good. Yes.
On air. Oh, okay, let's do it. Let's dive into the episode.
All right. Any warp cores to eject? No, I guess not.
I mean, there's three spaceships.
There's no warp core on board.
Even have a warp core. Yeah.
All right, here we go. We open with Picard mumbling about someone.
Mumbling? Wow, he's from the Royal Shakespeare Society. He projects round and forward.
Captain's log, Stardate 42923.4. Despite misgivings, I have agreed to Starfleet's request that the Enterprise divert to the Braslota system to take part in a war game exercise. Joining us as observer and mediator is the Zakdorn master strategist, Sirna Kolrami.
He's a fussy little man, isn't he?
He is. He is a bit of a dick. I believe I have it written. Did I have it written down? Oh, no, I've got him written down as a bit of a whiny bitch.
I mean, I'm always on the side of the sort of underdogs, and as much as Kolrami is written to be hateable and performed brilliantly to that effect, these also just may be cultural traits of the Zakdorn.
Sure. I mean, that's literally what Data says at some point.
The Zakdornian culture is replete with self-assuredness and confidence.
Yeah, and that doesn't necessarily reflect hostility or a lack of respect, just a different value system, which doesn't need to be taken personally, but very often on Star Trek
I disagree on the lack of respect, because he clearly shows lack of respect for other people.
Okay, yeah, well, that's something that we do get into, and it's reasoned from his perspective.
Right. I'm not saying it's in his worldview that's unaccounted for, but he does show lack of respect for other people.
Yes, no, that's totally valid. But I think it can be separated from his general affect toward everyone versus specific opinions of people that he holds and how he expresses that. Yeah. But I wonder if this comes through in the sound effects. But he's got all of these little sort of mumbles and grumps as he sit down here. No, not that one.
I prefer that we commence with our mission.
Yes. Yeah, and that little hiss thing.
Worf is unimpressed.
Yes. Especially even after Data tells him...
For over 9 millennia, potential foes have regarded the Zakdorns as having the greatest innately strategic minds in the galaxy.
And Worf is like, well, if that's never been tested, then, might not be true.
Yeah, and then that reputation means nothing.
Yeah.
Except, clearly, successful strategy so far.
Yes.
If they've been a spacefaring civilization for 9 millennia and they haven't been invaded?
No, I suppose they have warships. I mean...
Do they?
I would think so. I mean, otherwise it's very hard to maintain a projection of power if you don't have any warships.
The makeup design for the Zakdorn was specific. They've got these sort of overlapping skin folds.
Right, yes.
The costume as well is designed like he's got a hunched back and sort of leaning forward. He does not look like bipedal fitness.
No.
Personified. It was sort of designed to suggest that these were such good strategies that they've gone really soft physically. Because physical fitness just is not their path to success.
I can see that, yes.
And so Kolrami is here as the facilitator for an exercise that has been set up, which is I don't know if the Hathaway, which they're going to visit, is just their sort of regular training war game.
They don't, because this is the first time the Starfleet has done a war game. That's what it's literally said towards the end of the episode.
I don't know whether it's Starfleet doing war games for the first time or the Enterprise participating in. We've done our first Starfleet war game.
Okay.
Rather than Starfleet's first war game. But yeah, so it's an older Constellation class. No, it's not Constellation.
Okay, I can't find the Picard has a model of it in his ready room. I noticed. You can see it in the background.
Very good. Yes, that's the Stargazer. That's a Fornacelled class of ship that he served on that he's very fond of.
Similar class. The Hathaway looks very similar, if not identical.
Yes. Actually, originally this was supposed to be a very cheap episode, a bottle episode, using just sets they already had. The Enterprise sets, of course.
Sure.
And the Hathaway set was the battle bridge for the Enterprise, which was also the actual Enterprise A in various movies.
Nice.
But they already had those sets. But the Hathaway model had seriously degraded in storage and had to be rapidly and carefully restored. So it turned out to be quite an expensive episode.
Anyway, yes. So I don't understand this. So the Konami says
Continue. I'm just enjoying your weird games. There's some specific devil on your shoulder that makes you do these things.
Yes.
I don't understand. So, yes.
So apparently Picard originally resisted Starfleet's request for the simulation because Starfleet is not a military operation. But with the Borg threat, he decided his officers need to hone the tactical skills.
Yes.
But Riker says, like,
it's a waste of effort to test our combat skills. It's a minor province in the makeup of a starship captain.
So, so like we want to practice, but we don't want to practice. We think it's a waste of time. And so you risked it at first, but now he's here anyway. It's like...
Yeah, so this is backstory, because both of them believe that non-military solutions are always preferable, and therefore we really need to practice those. But they've recently had some experience showing, like, they've been in combat situations where they were vastly outmatched. And so despite his misgivings, right, we don't want to militarize ourselves, it is good to have that option and to know that if we do have to do it, we'll be excellent at it. But both of them are presenting themselves as,
it seems like seems like they're being a little bit wishy-washy about the entire thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the Enterprise, right?
Yeah, fair enough. So, 40 people are going to be sent to the Hathaway to fix it up, fixer-upper. So, clearly, the ship is not meant for... I think it's derelict. I mean, it's even referred to as a derelict at some point.
Yes, it's an 80-year-old starship that's been orbiting an unimportant star.
Right, abandoned, and they have 48 hours to do a fixer-upper on it, and then they're going to have the exercise.
Yep, and Kolrami is surprised that Picard doesn't assign the crew, but Picard says...
On my ship, the leader of an away team has total control of the mission.
Yep.
If you want to judge leadership, why not start at the beginning?
Yep.
Riker goes on a little quest across the ship to collect his team.
Yes, he goes sort of putting the band together. He goes recruiting.
Yes.
And he knows just how to talk to everyone.
Right, yes. I mean, Geordi is already on board because he's already prepared his equipment kit.
Yeah, he says...
I've already taken the liberty of putting together a few necessities.
Yeah, he's the easiest one. You get the short things first.
No problem, yeah. Worf is making a starship model or a
He's making a little ship in a bottle. I think this is a reference to an earlier episode where Picard explained about, did nobody ever play with ships in bottles as a boy?
Well, he's already got a model of a Klingon battlecruiser there next to him.
Does he? Oh, yes, he does.
But this is looks more like a very simple sailing ship that he's trying to put together.
But as the door chimes, he breaks the mast.
He startles by the door chime, and yes, it seems so weird that he would
He's under so much stress. You can hear it in his voice. You can see it.
From what?
I think it's delicacy and focus.
Okay.
Right? This is someone who would much rather swing a sword. I mean, you can sort of get it. You can imagine that certain exercises are more stressful to you depending on your particular, focus and experience than others. Like working with delicate things might be very, frustrating. Yeah. Which he barely manages to restrain.
Sweeps it off the desk. It's like, no, I'm just finished.
Just finished.
Yeah.
But Worf too thinks the exercise is a waste of time.
If there is nothing to lose, no sacrifice, then there is nothing to gain.
And then, this is a beautiful bit of framing. So the camera focuses on a sculpture of Kahless, the Unforgettable.
Right, yes.
Which Riker approaches and says, well, there's nothing to lose.
You mean besides pride?
Yeah, and then he kind of it gives a little summary of the situation. Oh, we're going to be outnumbered, we're outgunned, and whatever have we left? What can we do?
And Worf crosses his arms and says, guile.
Yeah.
Because that was it. He posed this scenario as a challenge that Worf would enjoy.
Right. And yes, well, join me and Worf.
The honor is to serve, sir.
Whoa,
there we go.
Yeah. Because Worf wanted that, right? He wanted a good challenge, and one where you'll be defeated, as long as it's with people who are worthy and
as long as it's not
metal.
just as long as it's not thrown away. The last person that Riker asks rather than orders is Crusher. Well, he technically orders Crusher as well, but he asks the captain if he can take him.
Wesley does that beautiful Wesley grin of his, so excited to be included.
Yes.
Oh, he just loves to be included. And goes up to Kolrami and asks...
I was wondering if you'd agree to play me in a game of stratagema.
Yeah.
Which he goes like, oh, I suppose. Being a little self-righteous prick about it, of course. I mean...
An opponent of limited dimensions can often be quite diverting.
Yeah. So, leaving that... Okay, is that because he disrespects Riker, or is that part of Zachdornian culture?
Well...
To you?
We don't know. I mean, he
Come on,
clearly,
what do you think?
disrespects Riker, because
Yeah.
there's like he has a very low opinion of Riker.
But he does accept.
Right, yes.
I know. I can imagine that Gary Kasparov gets challenged to chess games by thousands of people every year, and he turns them down on Twitter or wherever sensible people are nowadays. But, like, actually, like, giving someone some of your time and attention, well,
Sure, yeah.
that's not nothing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he just enjoys putting people down.
Yeah,
He
but...
sure seems to type.
Oh, I don't... Oh... It's giving someone attention, though. Like, is that...
Sure.
Is that really something that you see him doing when you think, like, no, you're not actually worth my time, I have more important things to do? Or do you think he's so petty that he just loves humiliating people?
Like I said, he seems to type.
All right.
Geordie thinks that Riker has some grand plan to pull a win out of this, but no, Riker just wants to...
this is brilliant. So,
you're gonna beat him, huh?
Nope.
well...
Yeah.
Then it's gonna be a close one.
Nope.
But you have got a chance.
Just to get to play him is a privilege.
So aside from your being privileged, is there anything else I can look forward to?
Nope.
No, this is going to be fun.
And then they walk down the hall and around a corner. It's a 5-second shot when nothing happens. I was just marveling at just how slack.
I guess I have to do a little padding to get the episode...
Well, what's weird is, like, a lot more was written for this episode. There was a whole subplot, the whole sort of medical subplot for Pulaski, but she was sick during filming.
Oh, okay.
So she only had a few scenes.
Right.
And there was a whole scene with Worf training his security team that was filmed and then dropped for time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Worf is readying the finger blasting caps.
Okay, can we talk about what this game is? Because they have to have these other milking suction cups on their fingers that are attached by other people, and then they sit around this sort of glowing board with a rotating holographic display on multiple levels.
There's 3 levels, and it kind of looks like I don't know. It looks like an old kind of version of 3 in a row game, which is played on a board.
Right? Yeah.
I think it's called the Molenspel in Dutch.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think it's you
the middle game.
That's what it would be called. I think it's because the board is kind of like supposed to look like a windmill blades. But yeah, no idea what
blades.
Huh?
Do windmills have blades, or do they have
what else would
like
you call them?
Wings?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're the blades.
Sails?
Sails is that might be the. I mean, that's the sail is the cloth that's covering.
Oh
the
yeah,
windmill,
that's
but
true.
I'm not sure if it might be. They still might be called sails. I don't know. I'm not familiar with them.
Les ailes du moulin protègent les amoureux. Sick Moulin Rouge reference there, bro. Data observe this very short game, as it turns out.
23 moves by Riker.
Barely.
Yeah.
Forever curious, this urge to compete.
And then everyone human-splains
Yes.
the sort of... But, like, as if it's a human concept, even Troy, who is not human.
Oh, good point, yes.
And it's like so, I don't know, it's so preachy.
As Pulaski puts it.
That inborn craving to gauge your capabilities through conflict.
What do you mean inborn? Were you born with this, Kay?
I have no idea. Like, might be cultural, might be natural, I don't know.
Right, I've never particularly enjoyed.
Right, some people are very competitive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, it's a personality trait on the gigantic spectrum wheel of traits that we have. Oh, I wonder if that's something that a friend of the show, Kayodé, who recommended this episode, whether that's part of his personality.
Oh, yes. Who knows?
Because I'm like a lot of us. I mean, I like to do something new. Mm-hmm. I get really excited about doing something new with some people. That really gets my
new project energy.
Yeah, right. And I don't care about being better about who else happens to show up.
Sure. Yeah.
As much as some others do. Some others get great motivation out of it.
After they get to the after the Konami, I forgot his name again.
Kohlrabi.
Kohlrabi, yes.
Kohlrabi.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I heard you trying. I'm not going to let you get away with turning people into vegetables. You already have that sort of
but
face.
they managed to find the Hathaway, and Riker goes aboard with his away team, and 48 hours the simulation will commence. Yeah. The Hathaway is a bit of a mess.
It's a fixer-upper.
They threw some tarps over the chairs, but yes, they go and get the ship up and running.
Yeah, Worf's initial response is
not good.
Nope. But Riker asks him to take a seat as the first officer. He protests. That should be Geordi's job, as he's the superior officer. But no, Geordi's fine with that. And besides, Geordi's going to be way too busy in engineering.
Yeah, I like that it had already been discussed.
Right, yes.
Because Worf, he's still quite a relatively junior officer. I don't know if he's Lieutenant Junior grade at this point, but he's,
I don't know, so let's have a look. Can we see the pips on his collar?
Oh.
Not in any of these shots.
Oh, his bandolier sort of covers his pips.
Yeah, you should be able to get it in a close-up of his head, but...
But, he wasn't even tactical officer initially.
Right, you're right. It was, security officer. I don't know. No, he was just a general bridge officer.
He was on operations. He
right.
wasn't even in tactical division.
He's in a red shirt in the earlier...
So he's recently made that transition.
Yeah.
And he's now the new tactical officer. But yeah, still early in his career there. So for him, this is quite a significant opportunity.
I was wondering, is this Riker's first command? I mean, he's now commanding the ship, the captain of the Hathaway.
We've seen his first command.
Oh, what was that?
And that was the Klingon ship.
Oh, yes, of course, yes.
Yeah, so later on when he says,
just remember, Enterprise, Captain Riker's never lost.
Yes.
That's a reference. Yes. Captain a ship before.
I'd forgotten about that. That was earlier than this. I just thought I thought it was this is his first time as a captain, and therefore, Captain Riker has never lost. No, of course, because you've never captained a ship. That was...
There's such clever lines in this.
Yes. So, Geordi manages to get the ship going. I wonder with what?
You get some lights on. I mean, there's batteries. There's other reactors. They don't just have...
What about the glowy things on the nacelles, then?
I don't know
how those being powered without any antimatter.
I mean, they don't have just one source of power, right?
I don't know.
I mean, it's the one necessary for the incredible feat of physics of warp speed.
Yeah, they just have a nuclear reactor on the back as well.
Yeah.
Or hydrogen fuel cells. I mean, because you got unlimited power for an antimatter drive.
I mean, not unlimited, but functionally, quite a lot. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah, they've probably got backup cells, a little bit of helium-3, as a treat.
They are almost out of dilithium crystals.
Yeah, it's kind of cool the way that he sort of pulls that panel aside and then looks into whatever that is, the dilithium matrix.
The dilithium chamber.
It's so cool to see the Hathaway come to life. A lot of these shots had to be redone for the remaster and our CG, but these shots of the lights coming on, those are the model, and it's... Kate, once I found out how they did the effect of the running lights illuminating the ship itself,
right,
which was so brilliant because it's got lights on it.
Yes.
But those lights couldn't possibly have the kind of spread from those positions, nor could they produce as much light within a model.
I think you told me about this. It's just like very thin paint and the light shines through from the inside, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yes.
Because the model is made out of transparent, I was going to say aluminum, but plexiglass. And had to be painted over in order to be made opaque.
Yeah.
But sort of the internal, the inside layer was just less dense there. So there's an internal light shining through that looks like external light shining on.
Yeah, very clever. I mean, hand it to the model makers.
And they need to improvise.
Yes, because as Geordi says...
Even if we had crystals that were intact, there's no antimatter to fuel the drive.
And you can see Wesley going, "Aw." It's like, Cap, can I go back to the Enterprise for a bit?
Oh, he actually hasn't had that realization yet. Because here, he says...
Would you like to transfer back to the Enterprise, Mr.
No,
and he
sir.
says, no, sir.
Oh,
so he hasn't had that idea just yet.
Basically, Zach Dorian is, again, trying to snub Riker a bit here and there. Explaining that everything is going to be simulated.
Yep. And I think he's actually being quite fair as a person who's responsible for this challenge, because Riker is complaining that this is a shit show and we don't stand a chance. And he's complaining at Kohlrabi, asking...
What's the Zach Dornian word for mismatch?
Yes.
Who immediately responds...
Challenge!
Right?
Yes, and we do not whine about the inequities of life.
And how you perform in a mismatch is exactly of interest to Starfleet. I've read about U.S. Navy war games of this type that were run at the time, which were like taking modern crews, putting them on an older like diesel submarine,
right,
and setting them on an infiltration mission while being pursued by modern weapon systems.
Oh, yes,
to see like what kind of tactical capabilities a motivated and intelligent and well-trained crew would be able to
I believe it was I think it was a Swedish submarine which managed to sneak inside the defense screen of one of the U.S. carrier battle groups, and basically they ended up sending the United Navy basically a picture of their battle of their aircraft carrier taken through the periscope of the Swedish attack sub. So it's like it's like, oh shit.
That's a fun little prank among allies, as long as it doesn't accidentally turn into an unwanted incident.
Exactly.
But it is really interesting because, crews train with the technology that's available and standard in this military, but they have to anticipate tactics and strategies by opponents with very different battlefield equipment, but maybe pretty excessive training, ingenuity.
Asymmetric warfare.
Right.
So, Pulaski tries to goad Konami into a match with Data because she is convinced that Data can win.
Data is surprised.
Yes, like, wait, I didn't talk about that. Like,
what Commander Data means is that he would never have asked you himself, but I know that he's very interested in pitting his skill against yours.
Yes.
So she's come from what everybody remembers who dislikes about Pulaski, that she's sort of anti-Data and doesn't consider him a person, and she's sort of overshot the mark of being a friend.
Yes.
And she's now like his true homie, like sort of inventing a personality for him that he doesn't actually have.
Very good point. But yes, she manages to convince him by playing on his ego.
Which he detects, right?
Oh, yes.
Now you're no doubt going to tell me that I have to prove it to you.
Yep.
And then she turns around to Data and tries to goad him. Like, you can't let that pass.
Indeed,
And then she mouths at him, please.
Yes. She really wants him to be put in his place.
That's her motivation.
Oh, yes.
Like, I don't care about you winning. I care about him losing.
Yes.
Give this to me, Data.
Please, I need this. So, yes, for the ship's honor.
And Worf has an idea.
Yeah.
Because he can just violate a whole bunch of protocols.
Yes.
With my knowledge of the Enterprise's security override, we may be able to convince the sensors that an enemy ship is approaching.
So, is that legal, one wonders?
I mean, this is the asymmetric warfare that we're talking about,
Oh, absolutely.
It might have been like he might have turned to the Maquis, and now.
Well, see, under like codes of warfare, which is always a very difficult concept.
Right.
Like there are certain codes that exist in order for things like the Red Cross, humanitarian efforts.
You never fake being a Red Cross.
Right. No false surrenders as part of strategies. Because if you do that, then surrender is no longer an option.
Exactly.
No destruction of food production or water production capabilities.
That one gets broken quite a lot.
Yes.
But yes. Don't know. I mean, it depends on what the rules for this engagement say. It's like, if it's not, I mean, I kind of figure that they are allowed to be creative.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's not even an exercise. It's just a shoot. It's just a turkey shoot.
Yeah.
So, I think it might be allowed to just be creative. I mean, the rules are apparently no going back to the Enterprise unless special permission is given.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I mean, it is a massively unfair fight anyway.
Yeah, and it's a huge security risk, having your flagship with its weapons and shields disabled.
As we learn later on, yes.
Which is what they're doing.
What's a shot called again, which we get of...
refrigerator shot.
That's the one, yes.
Yes, because we see it through the reaction chamber. First, Geordi peering in at the little fragments of dilithium, which are bits of blue candle wax.
Frequently done in... Good Eat by Alton Brown, one of my favorite cooking shows. Yes, that show uses that refrigerator shot a lot, although it's also used from the spice cabinet, the oven, and... Oh,
I wonder if that's like just the set that they have set up, that those, those sections have like a removable back wall that they can film through, or if they put like a GoPro in.
No, it's a fake. Yeah, it's a fake. I think the only thing that works, the only kitchenware that works on that set is the stove and not and the electricity and the sink, of course. But all the other all those oven shots there are just like they bake those things somewhere else. That oven is just purely there for show.
And here's one I made earlier.
Yes.
And Wesley has a cunning plan.
Yes.
And asks to be excused.
Because he happens to have a few grains of antimatter in a experiment that he was running, and he asks if he can, it's quite delicate, I need to go and turn it off.
Yeah, he doesn't even tell anyone on the Hathaway what his plan is. He asks for permission from Riker, who grudgingly gives it.
Yes.
And who contacts Picard for permission, which Kolrami says, well...
All right, objection.
He should be escorted and have no contact with anything save his research.
Yeah.
And Ensign Burke is assigned. Ensign Burke, who absolutely does not give a shit.
He needs to get out of there. I don't know. I mean, maybe he does need to give a shit, and that's why he wants to get out.
Look, is this going to take much longer?
Yes. Yesterday was Chipotle Thursday, and Montezuma's will have his revenge.
Wow.
And Wesley says,
I'm going to have to dispose of this safely. This is very volatile.
I'll beam it off the Enterprise and leave it particleized.
That's fine. Let's just do
we're
it.
just we're just going to make like a what are they called again? Those dumping aliens from Voyager.
Oh wow, yeah, the Malon.
Yes,
you're just dumping your high energy.
We're based outside. And great, good going, Wesley.
And to Geordi's surprise, while he's working something, this beautiful, I mean, it looks like a big old fishbowl with junk in it and handles, materializes on his desk. What's this then?
Ensign Burke has taken care of his pressing issues and is now at the...
Yeah, he is. Oh, no, that's what we're supposed to understand. That's what he was impatient for.
Right, he wanted to go...
He wanted to go and see the game.
I prefer my...
No. He's gotten some treatment for whatever ailed him, and he's now in 10 forward with everybody else in the Enterprise.
Where everybody is once more being prepped for stratagema.
Yeah, and Data asks Troy...
In the present context, what did she mean by bust him up?
And in her own way...
In her own way, Dr. Pulaski was instructing me to take the shortest route to victory.
As opposed to what?
Well, that's actually an interesting question in the light of his later way to get rid of Burke. Konami. No, I've actually forgot what his name is.
See, this is what you do to yourself, right? You poison your own brain by listening to that little devil. It's all right, I've got you. So the game begins, and it's them wiggling their fingers at one another. This must have been some fun to film, while this holographic display floats in front of them, and we get to listen to this.
All right. Yes, go.
Come on.
Go. Good one. Good. Thank you.
Oh, look at those. Good.
Yeah. This sounds like the orgy on deck 14.
Yes, exactly. Like, if you just play that for someone, and clearly no one who recorded these lines had any idea what was happening.
But yes, it lasts a bit longer than the match versus Riker, but Data is also defeated.
Yeah. To everyone's surprise.
Can't believe it.
Yeah.
Especially Pulaski. Yeah, it's like computer beaten by flesh and blood.
How can you lose?
Yes.
Well, he's supposed to be infallible, and Data says...
Obviously, I am not.
Yeah.
And this sort of starts his arc of self-doubt.
Yeah. I really love this next shot of the Enterprise and the Hathaway together.
Oh,
That's
yes.
a gorgeous view. Is there... it's not a clean shot, but we might get another one. Like we can favor it.
Yes, we do
we
get
can favor it for our lemon-stealing holes.
Yes, who will get these gifs on their on the Patreon. Because Picard asks Ensign Burke where Data is, who says...
He has temporarily removed himself from bridge duty, sir.
Which Picard apparently is fine with.
Yep. He trusts his officers to make these decisions, trusts that the crew rotation has been seen to, but up to a certain limit.
Konami... what's his name?
Kolrami,
yes. I'll write it down. Because
that always helps. No, very good.
Kolrami. me.
I also struggle with names, and when I meet people, I do the thing where you repeat it back to them a few times.
That doesn't work. Like, by the time I let go of their hand, I've already forgotten it, even if...
Yeah, there is that.
So, Kolrami seems to be quite pleased with the crew, but he is still doubtful of Riker.
I do not expect Captain Riker will present much of a challenge.
Up with wit.
Picard shall not put.
Yes,
exactly. Because
Mr. Kolrami, may I speak with you in private?
And when the captain says that to you, everyone knows what's going on.
Yeah, someone's going to get a dressing down.
Yes, but he does this. He does this very sensibly. You criticize in private, you praise in public.
Yes,
that's a good axiom for a leader. And instead of addressing down, he starts with a question.
Yes,
which is also very sensible.
What's your problem with Riker?
Yeah,
not quite in those words, but
the root of your prejudice, right? Which is very damning. And when Kolrami tries to waffle,
Mr. Kolrami, you have been nothing but denigrating and abusive of Commander Riker since coming aboard this ship.
But yes, it turns out that he doesn't like his command style, which is a jovial approach to the crew.
Yes.
My interviews have revealed a man who displays circumstantially inappropriate joviality, belying the seriousness of his station.
And Picard will not have that.
Yeah, because he just goes like, well, that's just what he does.
His joviality is the means by which he creates that loyalty.
Yes, which is crucial for a commander, and something that maybe a strategist like Kolrami, it doesn't respect to the same degree.
Clearly not, no.
Assumes that loyalty is a given and orders will be followed, and the really important part is the seriousness. But no, like maintaining that trust is an important skill. A skill which Picard, to a great degree, like he doesn't have it nearly as much as Riker does.
He has a completely different command style.
Yeah.
Deanna goes to talk to Data to see if he's all right.
And fails to get through to him.
Yeah, because she's like, are you good? It's like, I mean, your ego may be getting bruised. Oh, I don't have an ego. It's like, well,
yeah,
it's
it
like
could be disheartening. But, Counselor, I do not have a Data.
Yeah.
And she says you can handle defeat in two ways.
You can lose confidence, or you can learn from your mistakes.
And Data struggles with that because he made no mistakes.
Right, yes.
And the fact that he's still lost, therefore means that either he can't detect his mistakes.
Right.
Which means that he considered himself unfit.
Yes, because...
Yes, the captain would be ill-advised to rely upon my judgment.
But, yes, she goes like, well, I think you're overreacting, but I'm not. Bye. You can go now.
Well, yeah, he says, I've heard what you've said, but, she thinks he's all right.
Yeah.
I, however...
Do not.
Am not sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And he always has been.
True, yes, he's always been very confident in his own abilities, yes. And I guess this for the first time not. I mean, the abilities that he can be confident about is like he knows he's not a good people's person, but...
I wonder if this is where Kayodé was also coming from, because he mentioned, as a person who struggled with bipolar disorder, certainly in your youth you don't know this necessarily, and despite intelligence, struggled to excel in ways that are measured, in youth and in school.
Yes,
like maybe he had the sort of realization the other way, that these tests were simply not optimal for him, and where Data just has never failed before.
Yes,
despite never doing anything wrong, Kayodé had never succeeded, despite also not having anything wrong with him. Of course,
far be it from us to speculate on this. Aspect of someone's life.
Of course. No, I'm just very curious about this because I thought this was a fantastic reason to recommend this episode.
Yes. Wesley and Geordi are installing the science experiment, and Riker comes walking in to have a look, see what is going on.
And everyone is praising Wesley as if he's participating in, competitive foursome on the orgy on Tuesday, because he's like...
Yes.
Good work.
Yeah, and...
You're better than good. Great. Brilliant.
Yeah, well done.
But...
Wes, you cheated.
No, sir. You told me to improvise.
Yeah.
And he gets a little smug grin from Riker back, and he goes like, yeah, all right. Go ahead.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun. Carry on.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, go. Whew, that could have gone wrong.
Yeah, that could have gone wrong. You can definitely see that in Geordi as well. Wesley's just nervous, and Geordi goes like, "Are we cool? Yeah, we're cool. Go on, carry on." Next one to visit Data is Pulaski.
Oh, and let's give some respect to these lines of hers.
Oh, yeah.
Because she says,
"How long are you going to sit sulking like Achilles in his tent?"
From the Iliad, or from the film Troy with Brad Pitt, where Agamemnon has just stolen Briseis to be his own servant, and instead of joining the war against Troy, Achilles stays in his tent moping.
Yes, I believe if you translate the Greek of the meaning of the word Iliad, you could construe it to mean Troy story.
God damn it, gay. And in that context, when Data says, "No, there's nothing wrong with me," she says,
"You may be able to sell Troy that story, but not
Troy."
me.
Yes. So, he was beaten, and he says,
"I'm concerned about giving the captain unsound advice."
And Pulaski owns her part in this, because she sees her friend struggling with something that she can't, snap him out of.
And that she is caused by...
I wish I had never maneuvered you into playing that game.
And after Data goes...
I must find the malfunction.
Troy concedes and leaves.
Yeah, Pulaski has also failed, and God, this workstation that he's got is pretty amazing. We don't see anybody else with this wraparound workstation.
No, well, I believe that he mentioned at some point that he's constructed it himself to be more optimized for his way, for his speed and a method of working.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm pretty certain that's mentioned at some point when someone actually mentions that, that's a weird console you've got here.
So they're an hour away from beginning the war games.
And they figure they have 2 seconds for at warp 1.
Not long enough for an escape, but it could be a strategic advantage. And what if it doesn't work? And then Geordi asks,
"Have you ever driven a Grentham water hopper?"
Sure. You ever pop the clutch?
What is a Grentham water hopper?
I have no idea.
Apparently everyone's driven them.
Clearly so. And why would it have a clutch? But, whatever.
Within this 1 hour, Picard now has a new problem to solve.
Right, because Troy and Pulaski come to his quarters.
We've tried nothing and we're out of ideas. No, they've tried everything that they know how to do.
Yep.
Troy tried the empathetic approach. Pulaski tried the tough love approach. But they're down an officer.
And Picard goes, "Don't you think you both might be overreacting? Data is not capable of the emotions which you're assigning him."
But yes.
The effects are the same.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if he has the emotions or not. He's still not working.
Data isn't on the bridge, and I don't think he's going to be on the bridge. And then Picard complains,
"I'm less than 1 hour away from a battle simulation, and I have to handhold an android."
Yeah, the burdens of command, says Pulaski, who...
God, couldn't show less sympathy.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I've always loved about sort of Pulaski's role. She's also a peak career professional.
Right.
As well as the captain. And even though he's in charge of the ship, she's in charge of her department. And she considers him a peer.
Oh, yes.
Right? Not a superior officer.
Yeah.
Who can order her about, because he can't order her to change her policies within, right?
In fact, she's the only person who can basically decide that he is no longer going to be in charge of the ship.
Yeah. And she sets priorities according to, the framework of her responsibilities, which are not the same as Beverly's. Beverly's was very deferential.
Mm-hmm.
The very first time that she comes on board, she skips having a conversation with him, which he's outraged by, and he stomps off to 10 forward to go find her. And she's already speaking with Troy, who's going through a medical emergency. And, while he's got his Irish up, "I need to talk to you immediately." "Ah, good. You're finally here. Listen to this."
Yes. And there's the funny exchange. I think I showed it to you. It's it's a little compilage on the internet where Cisco goes "I've got some problems. I mean, that Julian, I've got so many problems with my medical officer." And he asks Janeway and Picard, "What do you do about yours?" And Janeway goes "Well, I turn mine off." And Picard goes "Well, I turn mine on."
And he goes to see Data. And he confronts him with...
"Commander, I require your presence on the bridge."
"Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not good. I'm not fit for duty because..."
"I've not been able to isolate the problem, sir."
"And I might make a mistake."
"Yes, you might. But that does not alter your duty to me and to this ship."
"Exactly. I mean, people make mistakes,
Yeah.
Everybody on this ship is fallible to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Why should you be the exception?"
Yeah. I don't know if he ever says this or this is from the novels, but I remember a quote about the Picard style of management which is to tolerate mistakes but not incompetence and know the difference.
Yes, I think that's what Wesley actually says to the blue guy.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Not Bolian, benzite.
Something like that.
Is the species,
yes.
yeah. And this is where Picard says to Data,
It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life.
And Data seems to get the message. Because next he is talking with Troy and Picard about what Riker's tactics are going to be.
Just Troy, even. He's just brainstorming with her in the
you're
conference
right.
room.
Yes, you're right.
And he's going through like this game theory, so he's statistically figured out.
He knows this, but he knows also know that we know, but he also knows that we know that he knows, etc., etc. And Troy is like
knowing that he knows that we know that he knows.
Yeah. You're overanalyzing Data.
Yeah.
What kind of a man is Riker?
That's a fighter. So therefore, he will just do what he can.
And
the weaker his position, the more aggressive will be his posture.
Yep.
Which
apparently is enough to go on.
Yeah. That gives them an idea of the kind of strategies that they're going to face.
Yep.
Which is really important for a first officer to be able to supply to the commander these insights.
Very much so. There's one more communication between Riker and Picard as they set off the beginning of the war games.
Oh, he's so excited, Picard. He's like, he just can't wait. He's grinning, and then when it begins, he immediately rushes back to his chair. Screen off. Full impulse power.
Initiate Kuma maneuver.
Yeah, and he sits there with us.
Why would they do such an obvious ploy?
He's teasing. He wants us to reveal our tactics on his terms.
And Worf has a suggestion which Riker agrees with. There's lots of people running around in the background.
And they do their little trick.
Prepare your little surprise.
Because, yes, crew member Buzzcut.
Captain, Romulan warship approaching fast from astern.
What the f***? Oh no, quick.
Bring us about.
Full weapon systems.
Disengage, modified.
Lock on, over to hailing frequency.
I can't, sir, there's nothing there.
What?
Oh, we've been had.
And then the little Hathaway comes up along them for a strafing run with their little pew-pew, pew-pew,
much
pew-pew,
to
pew.
Kolrami's delight, he's just standing there giddily laughing. It's like, they got you.
He's quite good.
He's the best.
Yes. Oh, he's well impressed.
Evasive standby. The Hathaway has scored some generous damage on the Enterprise, or simulated damage at least.
Repair time 3.6 days.
And they figure out that Worf has fucked with their sensors.
New codes, please.
Yes. It's like, we probably should have thought of that. Yeah, it's one of the...
Yeah. Like, that maybe should be standard procedure whenever anybody in that position leaves the ship.
I think so, yes. Right, so they go photon spreading. They're going to try to fire the simulated photon torpedoes.
But, oh no.
Captain, sensors picking up a Ferengi warship closing at warp 5.
The boy who cried wolf.
Yep.
And ignoring it.
Well, that's interesting because he says, like, did you input that new code? And Picard is like,
Mr. Worf, I didn't give you enough credit.
So I think he assumes that they still have a way in and they're trying the same trick again.
Yeah.
But no, there has been the Ferengi come in shooting and do some damage on the Enterprise.
And Picard is right on the ball.
Oh, yes.
He immediately says,
Divert all power shields.
Sever modified beams.
Stay between the Ferengi and the Hathaway.
Engage.
Right, they're protecting the Hathaway.
But the modified beams, unfortunately...
Not disengage the modified beams, the connections have been fused.
Right.
Yeah, that's what that opening salvo took out, their ability to...
We must retreat.
Ooh.
Unacceptable.
The Ferengi have broken off their attack. Drop shields, transport the away team aboard.
Kolrami is like, yes, we'll leave the Hathaway, get the GTFO. If you can't fight, we must run from the Ferengi.
Yep, and Picard says...
I have 40 crew members on board the Hathaway.
Who should be sacrificed to save 1,000.
1,000, which includes 90 children.
Good point.
You have preschools on board.
Yeah.
You have a delegation of, sign language interpreters from across the galaxy, none of whom signed up to be sacrificed.
I think they did.
For the lives of...
That's what you get for being on the Enterprise, That's the Starfleet's flagship. That's the word I was looking for.
I know. But like this is mostly a critique at has been leveled many times.
Oh, yes.
How weird it is to have these multiple roles assigned to the Enterprise.
Right.
Seemingly all the time.
They're not a combat ship. They're like an exploration vessel with some big guns.
Right. But then, like, Picard feels that he has an obligation to protect the lives of 40 of his officers, even at the cost of all the rest of his officers on the ship. We all go down together. Is he really authorized? Should he be authorized to set that policy?
I guess.
Right? The Enterprise crew would give their lives to save, a ship with 40 children on board.
Right.
But you already have 40 children on your ship that you're sacrificing.
Yeah.
Okay. See, now there's a tactical advantage.
So he tells Kolrami off, like...
As the Starfleet observer, I am ordering you to withdraw.
But Picard is like...
I am the captain of this vessel. Your order is nullified.
So, let's talk to the Ferengi. That always works.
Yeah, the Ferengi, who are still a poorly defined species at this point in Star Trek, at least they're not sort of jumping around like monkeys or macaques.
Yes, so we have our Shimmerman here who's like, yes, if the face doesn't give it away, the voice certainly does.
It's such a different performance that I didn't even recognize him, because I knew he was in here, but I was going, which one is it? Because he sounds like this.
Why was your ship combative with another Federation vessel of lesser
that's clearly his voice.
Now that you... Right. But it doesn't have the swagger of,
of course
Quark.
not. But yeah, that's what gave, okay, he does look a bit like Quark, and then when I heard the voice, it's like, oh yes, that's definitely...
And it's a misunderstanding that they have that Picard doesn't disabuse them of.
Oh, yes, because they could have just said, like, yeah, we're holding a training exercise.
Yeah, and would the Ferengi have accepted that? Would they have understood it? Oh, who knows? Because they're still, weird aliens at this point. So Picard goes along with their interpretation and says...
We have refrained from launching a counterattack in the hope that this can be resolved peacefully.
Which is a big bluff.
It is in keeping with how, they've... Oh, I don't actually know that. I don't actually know whether this is consistent with how the Enterprise has behaved in its encounters with the Ferengi.
The Ferengi are having none of it, because...
I am Braktor, leader of the Ferengi attack vessel Krikta. I will have the secret of the other Federation ship.
Surrender, and I will allow the Enterprise to leave unharmed.
Yep, because none of what you says...
This makes no sense to us.
Which is a great sound effect that, I keep forgetting to actually add these sound effects, but who knows? Maybe I'll remember this time.
So, yes, shields will not be able to withstand another assault from the Ferengi ship.
Yeah, they've got unusual weapons, those Ferengi.
And they have 10 minutes to decide what they are going to do.
The captain goes around the bridge and asks for options.
Yeah. Kolrami is very clear about
I've
it.
already given you my advice, Captain. The Hathaway is expendable.
Yep. Which is, fair. He was asked for his opinion, and he gives it.
I mean, Riker agrees with him.
Kolrami's right. You've got to save the Enterprise.
Yeah. And Ensign Burke, who is the acting tactical officer, says...
Captain, we are now capable of launching a limited number of photon torpedoes.
Oh. And Riker reveals that they have a limited 2-second warp capability.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Well, where'd you get that?
What?
Impossible. That ship was rendered warp inactive.
And...
I told you he was the best.
Yes. So they are going to work out a plan. Therefore, the data says they want the Hathaway. So if we just remove the Hathaway, they will give up. And so we're just going to fake shooting it. We're going to shoot our photon torpedoes at the Hathaway, and they're just going to warp out because the Ferengi don't think that they have warp capability.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not even sure our warp jump will work.
So yes, that will be unfortunate if they don't.
Yep. It'll be unfortunate for us because...
We will be dead.
Yes. I mean, if it's like once you're dead, there's no complaining anymore.
And they say, well, this is only going to work for a little bit, but their sensors will soon locate us. Well...
We'll only need a few minutes, Mr. Worf, because you're going to prepare another surprise for them.
Yeah. That surprise only worked because he had secret codes to the Enterprise.
Yes.
You do not have that for the Krikta.
I know, I was wondering about that as well.
So, really fun idea there, but do you know do you speak Ferengi Unix?
I guess, that's the one thing that I was wondering about as well.
How can you fake their systems without... Okay, fine. That's okay.
So, the little show is performed. Captain Picard goes very simpler. You will not profit from your criminal actions. And
you believe the Hathaway has value? We deny you your prize. Fire!
Pew pew! Big bada boom. Yep. And yes, they blow it up.
And the Ferengi are actually impressed. Like, you would destroy your own rather than give them up.
But
not think the Federation had such iron.
But they are still going, well, we don't like that, so we're going to kill you anyway. So Enterprise targeted, but no, another Federation starship is approaching.
Leader, there's another Federation ship. Oh!
You've been outmaneuvered. Retreat.
And zippity-zappity, the Ferengi turn tail.
Cool warp effect. Where
it is, yeah.
They leave like so many more streaks than the Enterprise does.
It's much more like the warp effect from the original series.
Oh, yeah. Well... Oh, I don't know whether they I think you mean the original, the motion pictures.
Right, yes, you're right.
Where they had
you're absolutely
those
correct.
streaks.
Yes, that's right.
And kind of like the Millennium Falcon going to hyperspace.
A little bit, yeah.
Right, leaving those streaks.
But yes, apparently he goes...
Captain, our sensors show no Federation starship nearby.
But it was Klingon guile.
Yeah.
It's like, that's...
Why weren't you informed? You're the tactical officer.
I know, right?
Why weren't you in on the act? And now they check whether, hey, did it actually work? Because their sensors also probably don't have a lot
right.
of where...
No, true. And they, fortunately, the Ferengi have turned tail and are not coming back. And Kolrami is forced to admit.
I must admit, your Commander Riker acquitted himself quite admirably.
And his reports will be very favorable.
Yes. Next shot is the Hathaway being towed by the Enterprise.
And back on board, Riker hurries to 10 forward where the rematch is happening.
Yes. They are sitting down. They're already playing, I think, when they enter.
Well, either that or it's, the competitive three-way occurring because... Push it! Don't lose it!
Push it harder. Yes. Come on, Data. You can...
Come, Data, come on, come, help.
He's programmed in multiple techniques.
Yeah, come on him. There you go. You've got him.
And
it gets intenser and intenser.
Until Kolrami gets more and more frustrated, angrier and angrier until he rage quits the game.
Yeah, just like... That actually does sound like the conclusion of at least one participant of the Friday night orgy.
But he is...
You have made a mockery of me.
And he just storms away and leaves everybody else to congratulate Data.
Yeah, because...
No game of stratagema has ever gone this high.
What did you do?
And everybody gathers around. It's this real sort of tableau vivant.
Yeah.
Where he's sitting in the middle and everybody's sort of standing around. Data, can you droid-splain this to us, please? Explain. And with way too many words, he indicates, I just didn't try to win.
Yeah, I was playing for a stalemate.
Yeah.
Which frustrated his tactic.
Yeah.
Until he rage quit. And, well, I mean, he says, I didn't beat him because I was playing for a standoff. But Pulaski is...
No, he says, I didn't beat him.
Yeah.
In the strictest sense, I did not win. Oh, I busted him up.
A win by forfeit is still a win,
No, exactly. I busted him up.
Yes. He busted a nut. Oh, no, wait, that's another one again. And which brings us to the end of the episode.
Oh, what a great recommendation, Kayodé. Thank you.
So, what did you think was...
So fucking cool.
I actually haven't thought about that. Oh, what? I think one of the other reviewers mentioned it. The breadth of things that people get to do. Like there's nobody who doesn't get a moment to shine on the
very good point. Yeah.
Entire crew, right? Dr. Pulaski, Troy, Riker, Worf, Geordi, Picard, even Ensign Burke, and certainly Data.
Oh yes.
Really get a lot to do, which for one 45-minute episode with just a minor sort of action plot.
I guess that's why they cut out the other stuff. I mean, and I don't know why they left that long corridor shot in, but yeah.
Yeah.
Weird.
There's so much to do for everyone, and they all get to move their character forward. It's really impressive writing from David Kemper.
Mine is going to be the Hathaway because I love that. I love the outside look of it. I mean, the interior needs a bit of tender loving care.
Yeah,
but on the outside, she looks brilliant. So.
Oh yeah, it's the four nacelles.
I guess so. Yeah.
Right.
I never understood warp geometry, but
No one does.
Yeah.
It's just whatever. Vulcans have a very different design.
Right.
They're all circular rather than having been cells.
They're based on different theory, isn't it? That they
suggested that's the case. And the Ferengi, what do they have? Or maybe it's just the Defiant.
The Ferengi have someone else's, because we know that they didn't develop it themselves. They had to buy warp technology.
Oh, yes, that's true. Oh, I think that's a really good choice, because the Hathaway is gorgeous.
All right. So, which means we have now to talk about what scene was left on the cutting room floor. Well, we know one for real, where Worf was training. But what did we think was a cool scene, which unfortunately was cut out of this episode?
You've got me thinking...
wait no longer, Picard.
Sorry, that was my bad.
You've got me thinking about the orgy on deck 4, and I can't think of anything else. I can't think of the high stakes penetrative. What was it? What's the game with the things on the colors on the? Put your hand on the. No, what? You spin left hand on green. What's that one called?
Left hand
Twister.
Oh, that one. Yes.
Full contact twister.
Right, with lubrication. Yes.
Yeah. Where those suction devices are put to very different use.
Ooh, that would make it very much a non-PG 13 movie episode. Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you could have maybe Beverly. Oh no, Beverly isn't here. It's otherwise
teaching at the academy.
She. Oh, maybe when Beverly comes back later and she goes into Wesley's room and goes I wonder why he's been playing Stratagema.
He got really into Stratagema when he turned 14. Yeah. Weird.
Funny that. Anyway.
It's when Wesley goes to hand in his science project and he gets a solid F because it's fucking ruined. What even is this?
Yes.
Yeah, well, we had to use that to warp out of... I don't care. You had an assignment and you failed.
Yep. Yeah, you didn't make the deadline and...
there's no antimatter here at all.
Yeah. I mean, even then, it's how the fuck do you get permission to take some antimatter and use it in a science experiment?
He also let nanites loose on the ship.
That stuff is dangerous, man.
Yeah. There's some very sort of lax safety protocols in Federation education, it seems.
All right. So, as usual, the chief has prepared for us some clues about next week's episode.
Oh, yes, that's right. We always do this, and I always forget. So how about you tell
next
everyone...
time on an all-new episode of Star Trek.
Well, you get to play the
I will, but tell them why we have the clips and where they can go to...
Oh, yes, we have the clips, because people are welcomed, invited even, to send in your own recommendations. And if you would like us to talk about a particular episode of Star Trek, any Star Trek, that you love more than anybody else, then you can send us a recommendation to joyoftrek.com/links.
Nailed it.
Thank you. I mean, it should be expected at this point. I've done this many times now. And
I know, I still appreciate it.
And there's also a link to our Patreon page there in case you would like to give us a little help in keeping the lights on.
Sure could use the help. And thank you to Kayodé Lycaon for recommending today's episode. We always like it when people have a personal connection. And gosh, from the life path that Kayodé has taken and the lesson learned from this particular episode, that's really, really so awesome. Here are the clues that the chief has put together for the next episode that we're discussing.
Yeah, bring it on.
I'm a hologram. I can't be harmed.
Okay, that sounds like Doctor.
Yeah.
I'm a hologram. I can't be harmed. Yeah.
Ooh, maybe Vic Fontaine from DS9. Don't know. I don't know.
Right.
It's eligible.
Is that the lounge singer?
Yeah, that's right. All right, next one.
Some of the crew may not be comfortable helping to deliver 8 men to their deaths.
Ooh.
Huh. Some of the crew may not be comfortable. Some. Just some.
Yes.
Okay, one more.
You were never afraid of me, not even when I tried to kill you. It's nice to look into someone's eyes and not see fear.
Whoa. This is very, very dramatic.
My mind is still on Voyager because it sounds like a moral quandrum or something that people need to be transported from point A to point B because they're going to be executed or something like that. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay, we've got 2 more.
Eco was executed for taking a single life. As a drone, I took thousands, but I was never punished.
Yeah, that must be for Voyager then. That sounds like something that Seven would say. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Let's find out.
It's common knowledge that all Benkarans are criminals, so when I was found in the vicinity of a murder, I was immediately arrested.
I wonder if it's literally called Death Sentence or something like that.
Okay. No idea.
I think it's about that.
I don't think it's an episode that I've seen, so...
A Voyager?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's find out what we're talking about next time.
The episode is Voyager 713, Repentance.
Close. You were not quite Death Sentence, but yes.
All right. Well, we're going to be curious about that one, everyone.
Yeah. Which leaves us with only one more thing to do.
I'm leaving Starfleet.
Energize!
We hope you've enjoyed this week's episode with your friends Kay and Kaki. Production and editing by Chief Engineer Greg, and music by Fox Amore. Join us next week for You Are a Person to Me by Super Foxes, a fan fiction reading, followed by Voyager Season 7, Episode 13, Repentance. Visit joyoftrek.com/links to send us your recommendations, support us on Patreon, or to find us on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to Joy of Trek, and we'll see you out there.